What is better than an awesome e-skate group ride? The answer is, of course, more group rides, bigger and in cities that you have never been to, and preferably with awesome new riders that you have never rode with before. This week, the DCESKATE and Philly E-Rider group ride. I'm gonna talk about why I love it and what makes electric group rides so different, and what you should know before you try doing one yourself. Are you ready? Roll then roll! Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we'll be BFF forever. Probably no better sign of the electric revolution that has been quietly taking place on the streets in city the world over. Groups of e-bikes, electric scooter, e-skate, and of course EUC rider have been gathering in ever larger numbers on a weekly or even nightly basis. I mean, maybe it is nothing new. Just about every single motor or non-motorized vehicle and transport had inspired gathering of some sort. From the critical mass bicycle ride here in New York City to, of course, NASCAR. But I do think that electrification adds an interesting and very different spin on the whole thing. For one thing, the electric motor is the great equalizer. Regardless of your athletic abilities, an e-bike or electric skateboard give you as much range and speed as you have the appetite or battery capacity for. But unlike gas-powered vehicles like motorcycles, EVs are generally a whole lot easier to get into both in terms of cost and licensing requirements. They also come in so wide of a range of form factors that just about anybody could pick one up and ride. I mean, who doesn't know how to ride an electric scooter? And the sense of joy and freedom that you get out of riding one is indescribable. And the only thing better for the social animal that we all are is, of course, doing it together. By the way, I took the train down from New York City since I didn't own a car and hate long drives, and it worked out perfect. I rode right out of the train station into my hotel room a few miles away in about 10 minutes and was able to spend the rest of the night wandering around all over downtown DC and spend some quality time with a pork chop. It's kind of fancy. Next morning, I met up with the DCESKATE group, hey what's up, outside of Union Station and waited for the ride to start. The load before the ride is always a nice opportunity to meet new people and check out everyone's ride, and while I'm at it, demo the new InMotion V12 I brought along. And also keep in mind, that is the lowest position you can put the pedal. InMotion is a lot more conservative than Gotway, so I suspect they will probably have better solutions. There are many advantages to a group ride, not having to worry about finding your way even when you're somewhere completely new, and the chance to discover a hidden route that you may not know about. There are also, of course, safety in numbers. It's much less likely for drivers to miss you than if you were riding on your own. But other riders do add an unexpected potential hazard, since different kind of vehicle and rider all behave very differently. So much so that many of the more experienced riders in New York City have been shying away from taking part in the larger rides, and as a result, the e-skate scene in New York City has become a whole lot more fragmented, something that I suspect will start happening elsewhere as well. Looking forward to the Philly E-Rider group ride the next day, we had a much smaller but much more intense looking group.
The mission is to get back home safe today, alright?
And once we start rolling, and despite the rougher surfaces and smaller streets, these guys were definitely faster. Surprisingly, despite their popularities, I don't see a lot of electric scooters. I'm guessing that the common commuter models likely don't have the range nor speed to keep up, and honestly, if someone was willing to pay more to step up to better performances, there are much more interesting options in the $1,000 to $2,000 range for electric skateboard, unicycle, one wheel, or even an e-bike. The interesting thing is that the electric group ride scene is still new and evolving quickly. New wheels and tech that dramatically raise performance or ride style are introduced all the time. For instance, electric unicycle were rare and a little known until 1 or 2 years ago, but had gained a solid following since then. The other thing that I noticed are the notable differences between the personality of the e-skate group versus traditional gas-powered motorsports. The quiet and unassuming nature of personal electric vehicles seems to be reflected in those who choose to ride them. And even with a significant gathering like this, there's little of the aggression as compared to, let's say, a motorcycle rally. Of course, every group is different, and depending on the number of rider and experience, level of speed and aggression varies. And usually as the group ride progresses and people with less experience and capable wheel drops out, the speed does rise over time. But I mean, if she can come along and have a good time, it can't be that bad, yeah?
You know how to carry these things?
Are you showing off your battery again?
Still have 4 lights. I think I have a problem.
You're a battery snob, man.
I do think that the scene is evolving, and the split into smaller group is likely unavoidable if it hasn't already happened. Once you gain the experience and ability to ride your wheel full blast, you probably want to stick to your own sweet spot rather than to wait on somebody else. Range is another issue. Gone are the days when boosted board dominated the scene and the groups are willing to stop and charge every 8 miles. On either rides, we didn't stop at all, and if whatever you got can't last 50 miles, then your fun is done wherever you ran out. And of course, with the cam wheel envy, which is an unfortunate side effect of doing a group ride. Nothing motivates you more to step that wheel budget up just a bit more than to see someone flying past you having the time of their life. I mean, I'm still seriously thinking about either buying a Monster Pro or a veteran Sherman, both likely to be nearing the $4,000 mark when they finally become available once again. An absolutely insane price tag, especially considering that I already own 4 electric unicycles. Trust me, the wheel addiction is real. It's likely already too late for me, but save yourself. With the DC ride having taken place on a Saturday, we were able to stretch and lay into the night, and even after the majority of the group had called it a day and went home, we kept on going under the guise of looking for food, and of course we couldn't quite help it that each of the suggested alternate locations just happened to be on the opposite end of the town. As fast as the electric movement have been growing in recent years, personal electric vehicles, I think, remain a little known thing to the public in general still. Group rides do make our presence known and gave us a venue to share information in this still DIY heavy niche. But most importantly, in this increasingly virtual world, it gave us a chance to share a collective love of the very real experience of riding together. To hear stories of your local group rides, especially from other parts of the world. Well, that is what the comment section below are for. And you know what? I somehow managed to trick you into wasting another 15 minutes of your life, but I hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to my supporters on Patreon. Please check out the link in the video description below if you enjoy and like to support my work. And as always, as much as we all love electric unicycle, the only way for us to get better wheels is to grow as a community. So tell your friends and teach them how to ride and get them hooked. Until the next video, thank you.